Thank you, Emily. I'm outside the Emmy research reactor right now where I spoke with a Dr. David Robertson. Now I'm going to go ahead and have my camera zoom in for you right now. That's the facility right there where all the action happens. Robertson tells me amid a global isotope shortage due to a reactor shutdown in Europe, this facility right here is upping its production. Now, Mortensmeyer and Griggs both tell me, as you can see the ice behind me here, that there is a plan in place should something go wrong, but both of them say that they hope it never comes to that. Thanks, Elise. I'm outside Women's Hospital right now where you can get a COVID-19 test. Now, this site changed its hours of operation to now 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to noon. To irrigate the farm, water must go through these blue hoses that eventually connect to those white sprinklers that water the crops. But the more water that goes through these hoses, the higher the water bill. One activity involves just a simple phone call, just to let the veteran know that you're thinking of them. Just a few minutes over the phone could change a life. Now this right here is a 1/3 size scale model of the reactor itself here. This right here is a target. The target is then put into the radiation can, as you can see right here. The can is then sent down into the reactor, and after 1 week of being exposed to neutrons, it is then taken out, where it can treat up to 200 cancer patients. I'm outside of the Boone County Government Center, which does have an electronic voting machine, but some other places don't. This new proposed House bill would require each and every voting location to have one for each and every election. I spoke with someone from the Columbia Center for Urban Agriculture. Now that center provides fruits and vegetables for people in need. That gentleman tells me he hopes surprisingly for more rainy days like today.
Yeah, it was a good break in the dry spell for sure.
For Dustin Cook, today's rain is a positive thing.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a dry late winter, early spring season thus far.
Cook has a small plot of ground at the Columbia Center for Urban Agriculture, and he says the dry conditions the past few months have been rough.
Paying an unforeseen extra few $1,000s in water bills can cut into our budget.
The people who grow crops at the CCUA produce a combined 35 to 40,000 pounds of produce a year. From radishes to rosemary, it all needs water, but that water comes at a price. To irrigate the farm, water must go through these blue hoses that eventually connect to those white sprinklers that water the crops. But the more water that goes through these hoses, the higher the water bill. KOMU8 meteorologist Tim Schmidt says the lack of rain has added up over time.
So every month since November, we've been getting maybe an inch of rain when we should be getting 2 inches of rain. Well, all that adds up over time.
And with that lack of rain, producers like Cook are hoping days like today start to make a difference in growing produce for the weeks ahead. Now, Cook says he hopes for a pickup of rainfall within the next 90 days, and more rain within that time frame would actually prevent him and make it more convenient, so that way he won't have to do irrigation on his own. Reporting live in Columbia, I'm Michael Emami, KOMU8 News. Columbia Regional Airport is getting busier. With the announcement of an additional flight to Dallas-Fort Worth starting April 6th, Columbia will have a total of 5 daily outbound flights. COU announced the decision today via press release.
Yeah, if I'd had another flight, I'd rather go through Dallas than I would Chicago.
Sam Ross, a passenger on a Dallas-bound flight, doesn't travel often.
This is the first time I've flown in 20 years.
But says the headache he experienced this morning could have been avoided.
Well, I was supposed to fly out this morning at 5 a.m. Due to the weather, it got canceled. If they'd had another flight, I could have got out a little sooner. Now I'm going to get into Tampa about midnight.
Ross, like many other passengers, uses Dallas-Fort Worth as a connection flight. And with the use of another flight to Dallas, it gives passengers like Ross options.
Of course, it's one more opportunity, one more connection for people. So if maybe the early morning flight doesn't work out, this one may fit better in their schedule depending on where their final destination is.
Park says passengers are excited with the decision and hopes the burden passengers carry when they fly can be eased. Hundreds drive by it every day on Providence Road. But what many of them may not know,
we're the only place in the world currently making that and supplying that isotope,
is just how critical this facility is in saving the lives of cancer patients. The MU Research Reactor, also known as MURR, is the only producer of radioisotopes molybdenum, iodine, and lutetium in the U.S., all of which play a major role in treating and diagnosing different cancers. Amid a shutdown of a similar reactor in Europe, what the U.S. counted on, now the world counts on.
What we have done is we've increased the production of 2 of our essential medical isotopes to provide for the world.
Dr. Robertson says, one isotope is incredibly effective in treating pancreatic cancer, and new isotopes must be made each week.
That isotope has to be made every week. So if we don't make it this week, patients around the world don't get it next week. You can't stockpile it.
With a European reactor out, this isotope could only be made at MU. Now this right here is a 1/3 size scale model of the reactor itself here. This right here is a target. The target is then put into the radiation can, as you can see right here. The can is then sent down into the reactor, and after 1 week of being exposed to neutrons, it is then taken out, where it can treat up to 200 cancer patients. Cancer patients are actively being treated as the production boost continues. Robertson says the second isotope being sent is also made in South Africa and Australia, an isotope effective in treating thyroid cancer. Robertson says the facility operates 6.5 days a week, so the highest powered university research reactor in the country can save lives, one radiation can at a time.